Hello my friends, in today's episode I will show you how to prepare such a model using a set from das Werk and some accessories. Plus some extras. The first one is antennas from Master Model, a fantastic product with 3D printed elements. I used to add antennas from RB model, but now I don't see any other option than antennas from Master. We have different lengths and variants to choose from, so every fan of German Panzerwaffe will definitely match some solution to their model. You will find a link to the producer's website in the description. And about the model itself, as you can see I have it already built. It all results from the fact that I received it in this condition because it served as a base for designing a StuH set for Eureka XXL. Of course I will show this set in a moment. And as I mentioned earlier, it's Dragon, so you know exactly what to expect. To tell the truth, in some places the difference between this model and currently produced sets is visible, but fortunately it's not so glaring, so the final effect will be at the appropriate level, especially since the accessories will certainly increase its value. Preparing the antennas, or more precisely their sockets, requires some work. Removing the plastic element and replacing it with a printed and metal one takes a few minutes, but it's worth investing in this solution because the effect will be amazing. The second important addition were winter curtains by Quick Tracks. Those who watch my channel probably know that I use this company's products very often, and I also show them in the Open the Box series. They are snap tracks, which mean the sets without additional pins, so they can be assembled in a very short time. Right now you can see how quickly a piece of track is created without the use of tools. They are movable and arranged on the wheels. You can find the link to the producer's website in the video description. Now it's time for the Eureka XXL StuH set, which I mentioned earlier. As you can see, thanks to the appropriate construction, this beautifully made resin element fits the model shapes perfectly. Ready StuH sets have their advantages but also disadvantages. That's why almost always when I decide to use them, I treat them as a base for my own upgrades. This is how the unique sets are created. And here I will use some of its advantages because I want to add a bit of my own style. That's why a few parts from the set will be used on other models. Using Tamiya epoxy putty I prepared my own tarps that will complement the Eureka XXL set. Now you have the opportunity to see how perfect the main element of this set is. If you like such details, you will definitely be satisfied. By the way, you know I love chains on my models, so at the back I added a piece of chain that holds the spare track section in place. And of course the model has also towing cables from Eureka XXL, which I added earlier. Of course you will find a link to the producer's website in the description. Forming the tarp so that it looks realistic takes some time and will definitely not do it in a few minutes. You need to spend more time on it to look carefully at this element from all sides and check if it lies everywhere as we want it to. As you will see for a couple seconds, I also arranged jerry cans, creating in this way a unique look of the StuH set. The cut and uneven pieces are also used to prepare small pieces of blankets and tarps, which complete the whole set. Nothing is wasted, and in addition these small elements introduce more controlled mass and at the same time realism. After a few hours of dressing the model with additional elements, I have a quite nice looking set. Additionally, the crew figures by Evolution Miniatures and Alpine are a good touch, which will look best when the model is placed on the base that I'm planning for it. If you would like to know what will be on the mentioned diorama, you have two options. One is to wait patiently for the next episode, which I don't know when will be published, or join my Patreon to be up to date with all news from my workbench. Now I start the second part of this episode, which is painting. First I disassemble the model into all elements that are not glued. First of all the antennas, because they are very easy to damage, additional tracks, the commander's turret and wheels with tracks. I attached almost all the elements on wooden sticks so that they are easier to paint. As usual, I prepare the nut to be glued into the hull. This is my standard way of preparing an additional handle. I paint all the metal parts with a metal primer, which will improve the adhesion of the proper primer and paint. And after that I covered the model prepared in this way with black AK interactive primer. The actual painting starts with the road wheels and I apply rubber black to all the rubber rims. Then I use quick mask to paint the sand color, which significantly speeds up painting the wheels. This stencil is specially prepared for dragon models, so the wheels fit perfectly. I know that fans of plastic stencils with wheels in different diameters for a few cents will soon respond, but believe me, this solution is much better and more accurate. The color applied to the wheels is slightly different from the actual one that I will apply to the model in a moment, but I care about the contrast, even if it's covered with further colors and weathering effects. I also painted the idler and drive wheels with the same paint. Several elements of the hull also received this shade, all for contrast. Painting the hull in a slightly different shade was quite efficient because I didn't waste time making shades and coloring each surface separately. I left the StuH elements unpainted so as not to build up additional layers of paint unnecessarily. I applied the markings from decals I found in my collection to the model. The problem was that they turned out to be quite old and under the influence of the softening fluid and because of the uneven surface of the Simmerit, They cracked and looked quite bad. Fortunately, this won't be visible at all on the sides of the hull, so I didn't worry about the quality of these markings, but on the back I had to paint the cross and numbers by hand, so here I spent more time and put more effort into it. In the end, we can say that the soldier who painted the markings wasn't Picasso and they aren't perfect. To tell you the truth, painting markings by hand is quite tedious work, especially if you have to do it on such an uneven surface as a Zimmerit. Therefore, always think about what will give better results, painting or decals. I painted all the truck's elements with a mixture of black and hull red. As a result, they are very dark brown. I had all the additional trucks attached to wooden sticks, so I started painting them with VMS Rusty Pigment jockey colors. I used the speckling method for this, applying individual colors one after another. What, truly speaking, was wet on wet method. Of course, I sped up with an accelerator, and after a few minutes I was able to glue individual truck section to the hull where they should be. To differentiate their appearance, I wrapped two pieces on the front plate with a pencil and reapplied rust pigments to the polished places. After appropriate coloring, I applied pieces of green stuff to weld these trucks to the hull. I painted the damaged paint areas with dark grey paint and the welds with silver. Having already prepared the paint, I started painting all the silver elements. Just to avoid the painting mistakes, always check how much trucks wear away the paint from the teeth on the drive wheels. Periscopes look very good after removing masking tape. You can see the viewfinder glass. Before the next painting, I covered almost the entire model with chipping medium. It was necessary to treat the white camo properly. I painted the winter wash with a mixture of white and a bit of deck tan. I applied it thoroughly, covering previously prepared surfaces. In some places that were less exposed to damage, I added more white to enhance the color intensity. Almost immediately after finishing painting, I started to rub off the white camo. The plan was to leave it only in the nooks and crannies and achieve the effect of the paint surface destroyed by weather conditions. I did it with various tools, which you will see in a moment, and in the meantime I'm going to get a drink. But first I want to thank my awesome patrons. You are great guys, massive thanks! The people who helped me the most are Bulldog09, Christopher Obarski, Dan Dibua, Dan Majchrzak, Hans Zap, Karstonik Keddy and Steve Ankin. But the people listed just now are also my great patrons. Please don't forget that you can be one of them. And I realize it's not easy these days, but if you have a few bucks you could drop in my cup, that would be great. Thanks! Oh, and one more thing. Remember that if you join for free you probably won't be able to view my work. Better try the 7 days free trial, which will give you many more possibilities. Okay, now I'm going to get a drink. Okay, I'm back to explain the next step of painting. What you see now is mapping, which is adding a lighter color to the stage of destroying the white camo that was just finished. I usually use white acrylic paint for this, which is only slightly diluted. You can apply it with a brush, as you can see it now, but also with a sponge. It's important that the painted places overlap with the previous airbrush work. The main goal is to make more interest to the paint surface. It can be used on all painted surfaces, but in this case only the winter wash will be enriched in this way. It's not 5-minute job, so it's worth preparing more time and something to drink, or on the contrary, to do it in small parts and take a break from work to rest your eyes. It all depends on what style of work do you prefer. Painting the whole StuH took a few hours, and I did it entirely with acrylic paints, trying to build an eye-catching color scheme. All the colors you see here were used for that. As a result, the model looks quite nice. I haven't painted the figures yet because I simply haven't time to do it. I hope I will manage to do it before weathering. At the moment the model looks very promising. I like what I've achieved by adding all the extra elements and creating a new design for the entire StuH. A good balance between the base color and the remains of the white camo after highlighting with wash and dirting will look just as I wanted it to. If you had a good time watching it, please click like, write a comment even to say hello, and subscribe the channel for more videos with my projects. And a short note for collectors: all my models are for sale. Get in touch with me and we will discuss what you need or just ask what I have for sale. In the next video I'm going to present the weathering stage, so there is no other option but to stay tuned. That's all for today, see you next time, cheers!